Welcome back, Nuggets. This mother clucker's got some thoughts. Let's ruffle some feathers and get into the video. While you're here, if you would consider subscribing to help my tiny egg of a channel, I would be so appreciative. Thank you. Okay, my nuggets. So this is going to be the final video on this incident that's happened. Now, one more note just before we get into this video. If you haven't caught it already, I released a video just before this one that is surrounding a bit more of a deep dive about the physiology that might be being experienced at this time. And given the comments on my first video on this incident, it seems that a lot of you are very, very interested in that side of things. So I wanted to explore that more. Unfortunately, it got age restricted, which means that it's not going to be shown to many of you at all. So I took it down, re-edited the bits that YouTube didn't like, put it back up, age restricted. So it doesn't seem to matter what I do with that particular video. It's just not going to be appreciated by YouTube, which is such a shame because I think it's such important information to get out there. So I will link it in the description below. And if you would like to check that out, it is there for you. Okay, so today I'm going to be covering her second stream back after she took her 4-day hiatus. Unfortunately, TikTok failed me just a wee bit and didn't let me know that she had gone live on her first stream, but I did catch the second stream. I also want to cover a little bit of footage surrounding Jeffree Star addressing Eugenia. Now, I say it like that because I will be completely honest with you, Nuggets. I really try in every aspect to remain objective with people that I talk about. I deeply struggle to be objective when it comes to Jeffree Star. I question his motives, I question his conduct, and I question his sincerity. And I hope that Jeffree Star is a character that has been developed for the online space. And I hope that underneath that, the real Jeffree is a much higher quality person than what is portrayed online. And it is very possible that it is a character, and I'll put that out there. That, my nuggets, is going to be as objective as I can get. I do apologize. Okay, so the clips that I've selected from her live are not in chronological order, but instead they are organized into category. And I have a little color coding system on the software that I use, and I had selected any sort of talk about Jeffree as a color pink because, you know, of course. And I got so sick of relabeling things pink that I just put that as the default color and then relabeled everything else. This conversation is extraordinarily cyclic, and there's just a whole lot of Jeffree. And my guess is that over that period of time that she was out, I would say there was a great deal of communication with Jeffree over this time. And I think he's managed to make her feel looked after and loved and boosted. And all I can hope is that that is legitimate and it's real and that it's not for any sort of personal gain. And I say this, you might hear this, I'm feeling a little nervous about that statement because, I just don't know. But anyway, let's get into it.
Like, thank you guys so much for like all the love that you guys have shown me today. Really, really means a lot to me, you guys. And also everybody that has been kind the last couple of days. You know, you guys, it's been kind of a lot of noise the last few days. So yeah, I just hope you guys always really know that I'm always really grateful for the people that care and are kind and everything like that.
Okay, so from the clips that I saw from her first stream back, it's really kind of the same as the second one. So I'm feeling very confident that I can just represent this narrative that is going to be spoken about within this stream. So it's pretty much what you would expect, right, to kick this off. Initial observations. She brings really strong energy to this stream. It is very upbeat. It is very energetic, but can I just say the filters are filtering? They are very strong filters that she is using today. And I think that this is all in an effort to try and push the narrative that everything is really okay now. And it's not what you think it is. which I think is a very dangerous narrative, because here's the thing. I believe that as a public figure, especially one as popular as Eugenia, or a celebrity, just any sort of public figure in the world, whether they want it or not, have a social responsibility to those who follow them, their demographics, the people who look up to and gain inspiration from them. And I think that some people stumble into this kind of fame very young and probably don't understand that element of it, which is not their fault. And perhaps, as I've mentioned quite a few times in Eugenia videos, some sort of guiding figure would have been so important in her life that she just... And as I've discussed in previous videos as well, I am not going to claim to have the answers to this, because it is a very complex topic that if you feel like you can just blurt out a single answer, I guarantee you there's more depth to it than just that. Should she be deplatformed because of the influence that she has on her demographic? And I'm not just talking about minors, I'm talking about adults too, because I have personally known a fully grown adult who has aspired to mimic her. And so it's not just age that makes one vulnerable, is my point. But at the same time, we can't necessarily just be deplatforming people because they are unwell in some way. That's not fair either. So there are a lot of things that go into this, and this is why I say I don't claim to have an answer to this, because should it be on the platforms? Should it be on the person themselves? Should it be on the viewer? Should it be on the parents of the viewer? You know, there's so much here that I cannot believe at this point in the internet's existence that we don't have an answer for it, but we really don't. And unfortunately, I think it's because a whole lot of money is involved. But in short, I worry that this narrative that is being spun, that everything's fine, we can just keep going on as normal, nothing's happening, it is a dangerous message, because it does kind of say to those who want to watch her and those who want to emulate her that you can do this and it's safe, and it's just not. Once again, go check out my other video. Okay, so she does spend a little bit of time more directly addressing the issue at hand, and this is what she had to say.
Oh, Vic, you know, what happened to me in the stream the other day? I'm just really trying to keep this stream positive. I had, like, you know, guys, I think, how do I say it? Kind of just like a stressful moment on my live the other day. I'm definitely feeling like a lot better. But I'm not trying to say anything is normal or not normal. You know, it was not a great moment for me, really. But, you know, I'm not trying to gaslight anything, you guys. I'm just literally trying to focus on, like, positive things. And just trying to, you know, yeah. But yeah, you know, guys, sometimes, like, it's kind of weird, I think, like, when people come in and be like, you weren't stressed, you didn't have anxiety, like, you know, you don't really know, like, what I'm feeling. And sometimes with anyone, you know, it's kind of like you don't always know, like, what emotionally is going on with, like, somebody as well, you know. So it's, yeah, you know, you guys, but anyways, I'm just trying to, like, be positive, and I'm just really on here to try to have, like, a good time with everybody, you know, and that's really it.
So through a great deal of that, you can actually hear that she's somewhat using her normal voice. Bear in mind that certain conditions can affect the way voices sound as well. Although I do think she puts on a voice, there may still be an element of change happening anyway. So she's kind of dancing around the subject and making it sound like stress, which I think she's kind of saying what it is without saying what it is, if you know what I mean. And I think that's probably the most real that we've ever seen her be, and possibly will see her be. But I'm looking at her and I'm looking in her eyes while she's talking, and it's so serious, and she's dealing with these things, and I'm listening to 1998 Britney sing Lucky, and I'm looking at the couch surrounding her with all of the toys and, you know, this pretty little frilly dress that she's wearing, and it's just, there is so much cognitive dissonance in this one scene that it's tricky to process almost, but this is what it is. I had a stressful moment and I'm okay now, but thanks for being nice and kind and all that.
So yeah, and again, a big thank you to everybody that is being kind in the chat tonight, you guys. It really, really means a lot to me, you know? And once again, you guys, I'm never at all trying to say that, like, I'm perfect. I'm just trying my best every day.
So she's just trying her best every day and she's not claiming to be perfect. And it's a bit of a cop-out. I will call her on this one because it's like, well, you know, if I make mistakes, you just have to forgive me because, you know, and it's fair, you know, we all make mistakes. And I was reflecting on this because Amber Lynn Reid, if you don't follow her shenanigans, she is, let's say, like Eugenia, but opposite end of the spectrum. And she actually went into hospital on the same day. So this Mother's Day situation was was a bit rough for the women I cover. But they handled it in polar opposite ways, right? We had radio silence from Eugenia for 4 days. Where all of her people didn't know where she was or how she was doing. And again, that social responsibility. Yes, she is an individual, but she's also a public figure with people who have invested themselves in her life. So there is a level of responsibility to them to say, you don't need to worry, just give me a bit of time. But on the other hand, you've got Amber Lynn, who documented literally everything, including being in the hospital bed. And that comes across as disingenuous and kind of like, I don't know, malingering in a way, kind of not really. And so I'm sitting there thinking to myself, well, can I just not be pleased? I mean, I don't like the way Eugenia handled it. I don't like the way Amber handled it. And I think what it boils down to is being able to respect your audience enough to just be able to say, look, something's happened. You don't have to worry. I will be okay. I will be back and let you guys know that I'm fine. But in the meantime, I just need a little time away from social media to collect myself. And I think that is the responsible thing. And I don't think it needs to be on video. I think like just a community tab post or whatever, just so people can find it. Tell me what you think about this, Nuggets, because I do think no matter what you do to a point when you're a public figure, there's going to be somebody that's not happy with how you've done it or what you've done or what you've said. But I think there is a better way that this could have been done. Okay, so for the next couple of clips, the chat was bringing up her mum a bit, which you can understand why, because I think when you see Eugenia in a tough situation, your brain does go to, what is the mother doing? From trying to remain objective about this, because I see a lot of similarities in Eugenia's mother as in my mother. But what I will say, we are not in the room. We are not privy to what goes on behind the camera. There could be more happening than what we think or what we see. We're not invited into that side. So it does look like, from our perspective, that nothing is being done and almost enabled or even encouraged, potentially. But this is unfortunately what our brains do, because they're little assumption engines that when information is missing, it needs to be filled in with something. So that's kind of what we go to. I'll speak a little bit more after these clips.
My mom's amazing, you guys. I love my mom. She's a really, really great person. I feel bad because I feel like my mom, unnecessarily a lot of time, sometimes will get kind of like a lot of hate, you know, and a lot of people just kind of not always being the kindest. So yeah, my mom is a great person. I definitely do not think she deserves a lot of...
The word there was hate. I had to cut it off because a very obnoxious TikTok sound happened. I will tell you that I would have said exactly the same thing about my mother while I was still under her influence and control. I think this dynamic is potentially very, very complicated, and to a point when you're in it, you're kind of doing your best to survive it, not knowing, especially like in Eugenia's situation and when I was still under the influence of it as well, you don't actually comprehend a life outside of that, if that makes sense. So you think that this is all there is. And sometimes that person is going to perpetuate or reinforce that notion that that's all there is. So I understand this statement. Maybe it's true, but from my perspective, with my experience, I'm just inviting you in. This is what I think about it. Okay, so with that out of the way, Jeffree. Okay, so like half of this stream was talking to Jeffree, talking about Jeffree, talking about Jeffree Star cosmetics, and it was just, I mean, you expect that, right? But anyway, I have selected a handful of clips.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I love Jeffree, like seriously, like so much. He is just like one of my absolute favorite people in the world. That was so fun. I wasn't expecting like us to like say hi tonight. So I was like, oh my gosh, yay. Jeffree's like seriously one of like my favorite people in the entire world. And he is just like so sweet and amazing. Oh, Carter, I don't know when I'm gonna see Jeffree next, but I mean, I hope soon. I miss him, so yeah. So I'm so excited that we got to say hi.
So I think the biggest red flag that I have about this friendship is the power imbalance in it. And you have a very vulnerable kind of Eugenia who clearly has some self-esteem issues. And then you have a very extravagant and over-the-top and confident-seeming Jeffree Star. I say seeming because, sometimes these people project this kind of thing, but inside they're feeling something very different. And I think having a vulnerable person meet and collide with a very confident person, it does create that kind of power imbalance. And that is what concerns me. Like this constant simping and, love bombing almost. Now, what I will say, when this friendship first surfaced, I obviously wasn't doing YouTube videos at the time, but my feeling was it's looking like there's a decline with Eugenia because this although it has ramped up very recently, it's been coming on for a while. And I wondered if he was getting into the picture to position himself to play the caring, almost like the friend who is able to comfort her or change her or, to play that martyr in that way in order to get advertising from Eugenia, free advertising essentially. That was my initial feeling. I second guessed that feeling because then after, she went to his place for a while, there was a long period of time where there wasn't really much happening between the two of them. And so I thought, oh, maybe not. Maybe it was just trying to get in there, get some free advertising and get out. But now he's come back and is doing the actions that I thought he would pull at the very beginning of all of this. So again, we're not there. We don't know who he really is. We don't know who she really is. We don't know what kind of friendship they have. It could be very different than it seems from our perspective looking through a screen. But my goodness, aren't there some shocking red flags going on?
I love that Jeffree calls me Sheriff Cooney. It's like, I love Jeffree so much. I was honestly so excited and happy we got to say hi to him a little bit earlier. So I just always really appreciate him always being like such an amazing friend to me. And I will always be a sheriff for Jeffree, It's like, seriously, he only deserves ever like good energy and good people in his life. And like, I feel like sometimes it's really hard to like find people that are just like genuinely really, really good friends and really just, they're always there for you and everything. And he's honestly one of the most amazing and kindest people that like I've ever known. So I will always be a sheriff for Jeffree. It's like if people are mean to me, it's like I get kind of used to it. It's whatever sometimes, but I'll always defend Jeffree. I think like he is so amazing, Tiff, exactly. Like he's truly one of the most like amazing people that I've ever known. Guys, like I said, if you're mean to my friend in here or anything like that, that's how you're gonna get blocked. That's how it's like, no. That's not allowed, okay? You say whatever about me, whatever, but you cannot do that.
So do you see what I mean? It's almost like he's built himself a little minion in that way. And it could be completely her free will. It could be just who she is, but it could also be this sinister thing. And I didn't capture it and I was cranky about that, but she did mention that, she has all these good quality friends now and she hasn't always had that, which of course sounds like a slight towards Jacqueline Glenn. And if you're defining good friends, good quality friends by just allowing you to be self-destructive, and then you're defining not good quality friends by the ones who basically say, well, if you're not going to help yourself, I'm going to do it for you. It's so ridiculously backwards that I do think it fits with the behavior and like the psychology that we've been seeing from her. So if that's true, then that means the power imbalance is in effect and there maybe is exploitation going on. Tell me what you think, though. I'm keen to hear.
And Jeffree just became the new title gifter of the hearts. I love you so much, friend. Guys, if you don't already go to Jeffree's shopping lives, like, you have to, like, register for, like, all of them, okay? Because, like, literally there's always, like, such amazing sales, and it's, like, best products ever.
So it's almost like he's trained her. This is what it looks like from viewing it. It's like, I drop money, I cause Eugenia to talk about me. Eugenia then sells my stuff on her live streams where there's oodles and oodles and oodles of people watching. And this pattern happens over and over. It's almost like every time he does something, gives her money, immediately there's the sales pitch. It's almost like a puppet and puppet master in that way. That's how it looks.
That's what we need, you guys. It's like, you know, kind people. We need people like Jeffree in the world, honestly.
Do we? Do we really need people like Jeffree in the world? I think one is enough. Let's keep it at that.
But yeah. Oh, Jeffree, thank you. I seriously love you so much. Like, thank you for always just being like such an amazing friend to me. And I'm just always so grateful for you. And like, I hope you forever know that. And it's been kind of a crazy last few days. So I was like, aw, it's like, I love getting to talk to my friend. Oh my gosh, guys, did you just call him enabler? No.
And yeah, so basically what she's talking about, people being mean to her friend in the chat, they were pretty much just either begging him to help her or calling him an enabler or, you know, that kind of rhetoric. So I wouldn't class that as being mean to him, would you? I think that's fairly mild compared to what I've seen Jeffree get, but yeah. Okay, so moving on to Jeffree's stream. Now, this was a very uncomfortable watch for me because I found myself, and don't tell anyone, my nuggets, do not repeat this information. I found myself agreeing with Jeffree Star. And I'm like, what? So, here's what Jeffree had to say.
Sorry, I'm
This is the first admission from Jeffree, I think, that we've ever had of him acknowledging that she is not okay. And I think this is a big deal. And I wonder if Eugenia was comfortable with him saying that. Of course, this is being spun as mental health, which is partially true, right? There is an element of mental health going on here. It's not the most present issue, but it is part of it. And he is right. And I think that this is where it gets difficult with public figures with their social responsibility because, yes, I do understand that when you're operating in the public, you do want to keep some things private. I really do understand that. And it must be a lot to have people demanding things of you, especially like I'm a very private person. I mean, can't you tell? I air all of my dirty laundry on the internet, but I can understand how you would want to keep some things private just for you. And it's tricky because this private thing that she wants to keep to herself is really, really obvious visually. And that causes an issue. And again, because she legitimately has people who are deeply worried about her, she also has people who are following down her path. And I feel, and I am not the beacon of all wisdom on this topic, okay, I feel that she should be addressing it publicly. I think she owes it to her people. Jeffree's about to disagree with me on that. But I just think the message in the silence is dangerous.
Can you imagine you're already going through things? You already have your own issues, and it's just constant negativity every second of the day. Every second of the day, everyone sucks out every ounce of joy every time she goes live, every time she tries to enjoy herself. It's exhausting when 98% of people don't care.
Yes. So, yes. He's right. He's totally right. Of course. Could you imagine? It's bad enough when you're someone that struggles with mental health to hear this stuff inside your head. But when somebody then goes and verbalizes it to you, or like text, it's outside your head, the information is coming from outside your head. When that happens, it compounds all of your own thoughts so much more than if they had have just been in your head in the first place. Because there's a certain element for it just being in your head to be able to go, no, I'm pushing that away, I'm rejecting that. That's just anxiety, or depression, whatever. But then you go online, you go on live stream and you get inundated, or your DMs or your Instagram posts, or just it's everywhere, and it's thick, and it's some of it, most of it is very, very not nice, and nothing that I would ever condone in my comment section, let alone hers. So I do fully understand what he's saying there, and it must be exhausting. And to be in the grips of all of this while all of that noise is going on, that must be incredibly hard. And maybe the right thing is to actually step away from an online presence for a time to get herself right. It's not like she couldn't afford it, right? I mean, we don't really know that either, but it seems like she could afford it. She's living with her family, so her overheads theoretically could be nothing. But instead, we're getting onto live streams and proclaiming that everything is okay, and that's just going to fuel this fire.
This morning, she's okay. There are steps and certain things that are happening, and she is getting help. It is a very long journey.
So what do you think about this statement? Do we think that's true? Because define help. I feel like this is one of those statements where it's like, well, I'm not lying, even though you're kind of misleading the truth. Define help. Because what does help mean to you? This is a very subjective term. It could be what we hope for, in actually attempting to reverse this situation. It could be just therapy, which I say just therapy because I think we're kind of past that point. I don't mean to impugn therapy. It could be, how do I say it? Because YouTube will hate me. I want to say end of the line situation treatment. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Oh, YouTube, you've got me second guessing myself. Help could look like a lot of things. And I think this statement is true on some level. I don't think it's true necessarily on the level that we want it to be. Does that make sense? Am I being clear? Sorry for stepping around things. I apologize.
Right. People act like a real life situation is drama or tea. This is a real human being with feelings and issues, just like you and I. We all have our own issues we're dealing with.
Yes. Okay. So this leads me into something that my new nuggets that have just found me this week, and thank you. Hello. This is something that maybe you don't know about me. So this channel, and I'm going to be doing an intro video very, very shortly explaining all of this as well. But in short, this channel is not about the women I cover. I am not naive enough to think that Eugenia is going to watch my content and improve. I don't think that. This channel is about you. It's about viewing these people who have taken some of the most extreme roads that you could possibly take in life, and reflecting on them and seeing what they've done, and having them illustrate what happens when you don't handle your anxiety or your depression or your mental health in general. And then I'm able to take all of the learning and healing that I've done from my history, which is extremely similar to Eugenia's, but for a handful of decisions that I made, I would have been on this path. We can learn. We can heal ourselves. We can realize things that perhaps put us on a different path, and that's what this channel is about. It's interesting the way Eugenia's people work, because she's such a polarizing figure that you tend to get either extreme supporters that love her, or you get her haters. There is, of course, a gradient, but I would say the bulk of people do finish at one end or the other. I would say that if you're here at my channel, you're probably in the middle somewhere. And so it's interesting with my content because I make sure to humanize, I make sure to bring understanding and compassion, but I also make sure to highlight where the path has deviated from something that is going to be productive so that you can take that with you if it applies. And what that means is you get the people that love her looking at me and saying, oh, this is just tea, you're exploiting her, you don't care about her, and all of that. And then I get the people that hate her saying, you're enabling her, you're making excuses for her, she doesn't deserve this. And I feel that while I have those two happening, I know that I'm nicely in the middle, exactly where I should be. This is not tea. If you want to use it as entertainment, that's your prerogative, and that's fine, that's great. But this is about learning. It's about communicating things that are not often communicated enough and highlighting the realities of these women's lives. And when he says that we all have our own issues that we're dealing with, that is so correct. We are all unique, complex individuals with unique backstories, traumas, experiences that got us here. And as a result, we have our own perspective when we look at things, our own filters. If you read my disclaimer at the beginning, it says all of that. And so I'm just encouraging us to think about it, understand it from a different perspective, open your mind perhaps a little bit more to something maybe that you hadn't considered previously. But that's the end of my rant. I will continue with Jeffree. Thank you for listening, Nuggets.
Jamie, this is the problem. People make up things like this and then it spirals. No, I just spoke to her for over an hour. She's at home. She's never been to the hospital this week.
Okay, so she's at home. She's never been to the hospital this week. Again, I feel like there might be a truth in here that is shrouded. I suspect she has been at some manner of facility. And although it is very circumstantial evidence, you can notice in this stream she has 2 of her fingers where the nail polish was taken off. Now, curious, this is very curious because if it's that she hadn't been anywhere and she's just been at home and that fingernail polish came off, she knows people are going to talk about that, so why would you not repaint it? And the same goes for if she had been in some sort of care facility and they've removed it for the blood oxygen and heart rate. Again, she knows people will talk about it. And I know they're talking about it because they've been talking about it just a few weeks ago when she's been missing nail polish. Some of you have commented it to me. So she knows this is a talking point, which makes it seem very disingenuous. And why would you not just repaint it? It's so easy. She had days to do it. Just quickly, smack it on and it's good to go. So I suspect that she was somewhere. I do think that. And if she wasn't, well, shame on her parents, I suppose, because I think she needed to be somewhere. But I don't think that we can rely on the absolute fact and honesty from Jeffree Star.
And she also doesn't owe anyone an explanation about her mental health. She doesn't owe y'all a damn thing. Who tricked y'all into thinking anyone owes y'all an explanation? That's what I want to know.
Oh, good. Okay. We're back to disagreeing with Jeffree Star. I feel a little bit better within myself. Okay. Again, I think I've covered this enough. I think that some explanation is owed. Maybe owed is the wrong word, but I think it's the moral and ethical thing to do. And I don't think it needs to be in exquisite detail. I think just a nod to it would be fine. Just saying, yep, I think you've all had some suspicions. I'm looking after myself. I'll be okay. I'll be back whenever. I don't think it needs to be in great detail. And I don't even think she needs to say that nasty A word if she doesn't want to. But I do think a social responsibility for a following that big, I don't know. Tell me what you think. It is very tricky and very complex topic, that one. And once again, I totally would understand her wanting to keep this private. I really do understand that. But it's really the result of the rubbish that she's been spouting for years, putting her into this situation because she's been falsifying her situation so much to her public. Now it's become this massive thing where if she had have just kind of addressed things earlier on or been actually honest with her audience, maybe it wouldn't have blown up into this huge mess. although there is a lot of negativity out there towards her, there are really people that are invested in her life. And yeah, that's the stance I'm taking. I do think she owed something, just a little something, but something.
Have a little bit more compassion for someone who is suffering. Is that so hard? Clearly, because I see her being degraded and picked apart every day.
And he is right there. I think a lot of you in my comment section have really kind of highlighted what else is going on out there. I haven't watched anybody else's videos on this topic because I so badly want my message to be clean, and I want to make sure that I'm delivering everything that I want to deliver. It's such an important topic. But you were all in my comments section telling me that I'm bringing such a compassionate response and that this is really rare. And that is very concerning to me to hear, because I don't think it should be rare. I think some of the greatest evils in this world have been done at the hands of dehumanizing, and it is one of the most dangerous things that we can do to people. And I think it's so easily done, whether we're talking about like racism or whether we're just talking about a bit of schoolyard bullying. It's all in the name of dehumanizing. And that is something that will never happen on this channel. I may not agree with everything everybody says, and I may call out criticisms towards them for their actions, but it will never be without understanding that they are a complex human as well. That really saddens me to hear that so much of that is going on. So, final thoughts. I guess I will call this incident closed for now. I think there's going to be many more, relatively shortly. If there is help being had, like actual help, the help that we're imagining, it still might be too late at this point, but we can hope that it's not. I will be here to respectfully and compassionately cover anything that happens in the future. And I just want to say a really big thank you to everyone who has subscribed and left comments and brought new things to the table. There were some really wonderful takes and perspectives that you brought, and I'm so sorry if I didn't see your comment. I was trying so hard, and I continue to try really hard to see them all and read them and comment. I'll do my best. So if I've missed something, please pop it in the comments. I want to hear it. I really do. I love to hear your takes. You all bring unique perspectives to the table, things that I hadn't considered or haven't experienced, and I love to hear them. But thank you so much for still being here listening. That's all the clocks I have left to give today. Stay golden, my little nuggets, and I'll catch you next time.
Hey! I'm gonna go watch another video. Let's go!